What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I got another episode of the People's Questions, episode 88. And for starters, I'd like to thank the 4 of you guys that sent in your questions for this week. You make this episode possible. And for starters, the first 2 questions come from Galen429. And your first question is, what are my current thoughts, wishes, and hopes for Avengers 2 Age of Ultron? Well, I'm not sure if you saw my original review for the first Avengers, but I actually really didn't enjoy it all that much. So if I could pick one thing that I hope that this movie does is not bore me. If you saw my first review, first time I saw Avengers, I actually didn't even see it when it originally opened. I waited like a good month and a half to 2 months before I finally saw it, and I ended up falling asleep twice through it, so I just hope that this next one is not as boring. Then your second question is, what villain would I like to see the Avengers take on aside from Ultron and Thanos? Although I know we will never ever see this villain actually take on the Avengers, one villain that I would love to see and go ecstatic for is if they could get Galactus in to take on the Avengers, simply because I know the Avengers would be absolutely decimated and annihilated, because there is none of those characters are strong enough to take on Galactus by themselves, not even as a team. And I know the comic books have made several interpretations that certain characters can actually combat Galactus, but in this real world setting, I don't think any of them would really stand a chance. Next 2 questions come from Criticism Guy 2009, and you want to know, have I heard or seen any commercials on the cheap console known as the Ouya? Hope I said that right. Have I heard of the Ouya? Yes. Have I seen any commercials for it? No. I'm not interested in the system at all. It looks stupid. I don't like the controller. I don't like what type of games that it's bringing. It looks cheap, like you already said, and so I have no interest. Besides, I've already pre-ordered my PlayStation 4, and it's only like a month and a half away, and I'm already ecstatic for that. Your next question is, what is the most difficult game boss that I've ever faced on a console? The most difficult game boss that I've ever faced was this thing from Final Damnation 13, simply because all it takes is one stomp, and 70 hours of gameplay level grinding means absolutely nothing, and it is the biggest F you that I have ever had put in my face. So much so that I deleted my 70-hour game, and to this day stands as being the worst video game I've ever played in my life. And I'm sorry, the sun's going down, that's why I'm getting darker. Next 2 questions come from Nick Smith, and you want to know, what is the most exciting thing that I've ever done? I suppose the most exciting thing that I've ever done up to this point in my life is the creation of 3TR, simply because it has given me the opportunity to voice my opinions, to communicate with all of you guys out there, and even to get to know you guys. I have never had so many friends that I can talk to and can relate to me, or have their own opinions and are able to back them up, than I do now. And I have 3TR to thank for that. I have you guys to thank for continuing to push myself to keep these videos going and make this channel even better. So making 3TR is the most exciting thing I've done, because I now have a chance to meet all you guys out there. And your next question is, scariest movie I've ever seen. Scariest movie I've ever seen is Event Horizon, simply because at this point in time, I'm a firm believer that there's not a single movie that can legitimately scare me. However, the fact that I saw Event Horizon at such a young age, it still kind of holds a place in my heart as being like a cult classic, and really an original storyline of this demon-like entity of like this ghost ship in the middle of space, or I believe one of the moons of Saturn, if I remember correctly. Can't remember the plot. Maybe I'll just watch it again like I do every Halloween. So that's the scariest movie I've ever seen. And the last 2 questions come from Mike Styles, and he wants to know, what are 2 movies from the past that I would like to see rebooted or remade? Alright, I'm going to pick one for each. So in terms of rebooted, I would love to see them reboot. I'd really like to see them, well, technically we're already getting a reboot for that. I would like to see them actually try to, again, to get, I guess reboot the Snake Plissken Escape From movies, simply because I really enjoyed those movies. I personally would love to see Kurt Russell return to do a 3rd one, because I think he kind of carries on that presence of like Snake, because as some of us know, he is the inspiration for one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Solid Snake, or Big Boss in this case. And I think that there's definitely enough material to make a story. Maybe we could do an Escape from United States, or Escape from Chicago, even though Chicago was actually one of the main places that he actually visited. And hang on, let me turn this damn light on. Okay, that'll help maybe a little bit. And in terms of remake, I would really like to see them remake I mean, I know they'll never remake it, but remake Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I enjoyed Mortal Kombat 1 so much, and to see Mortal Kombat Annihilation just kind of almost destroy everything that that movie achieved. If they could just go back in time and just redo that whole movie and make it right, then I would be a happy Mortal Kombat fan. But I guess, in a sense, we are getting somewhat of a reboot from what I've heard, but until I see an official announcement from Warner Brothers themselves saying that they are making a Mortal Kombat movie, it's still up in the air. And your last question is, what is the craziest thing that I've ever seen on TV or YouTube? I'll be honest, man, I honestly don't know. I have seen so many crazy things. I've seen things that have made me cry. I've seen things that have made me laugh so hard that I burst into tears. I've seen things that were so upsetting that it made me want to hit things. But in terms of overall craziness, I guess the level of I honestly can't pick. There's just too many things. It's like asking me to pick my favorite video game, and as you know, it's stuck between two games. I just cannot make a decision. Now, with that is all the questions you guys sent in this week. I would like to thank you for making this episode possible, like always. And if you're new to this channel, please, you can type in any 2 questions about any subject in the comments down below, and I will be sure to answer them on next week's episode and try to get them in before next Wednesday when I film these episodes. And before I do my closing, I actually have a question from Smooth Ace. And for those of you who do not know, that was my brother who you guys actually met about earlier last month. And he basically wanted to know, which was kind of a difficult question, is if you could take any 2 powers from both a Marvel character and a DC character to have as your own, what would they be? And don't try to cheat and say like, oh, I want all of Superman's powers. I'm talking about just 2 powers. So I want this power from this character in DC and this power from this person in Marvel, and I want them for my own. Tell me who they would be in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please like, comment down below, and please press that subscribe button to keep track of me and my future video topics and episodes of people's questions. You can also click in the description down below and click on the links so you can follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.